BulkLoads Podcast, your number one resource for everything bulk freight trucking.
All right, that's the content,
Hey guys, Jared Flinn with the BulkLoads Podcast. Got Tyler with me?
What's going on?
Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle. It's Christmas time. It's December.
It's officially after Thanksgiving, yeah. So we're putting up the tree at the house. This is my favorite season.
Yeah, speaking of, we have toys out on here.
Yeah, this one is a good episode. I don't want to get into it before the truck feature, but man, this one is cool.
Well, let's do the truck feature first, and then it'll transition right into this.
So today we have Eric Edmondson out of Ellsmore, Kansas. He has been a member with us since 2022, so a few years now. So, I mean, sharp rig. I like
Super
that.
Sharp.
I like that, like beige with the maroon.
Classic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sharp.
Tarp matches the truck.
Yep.
So
yeah, super sharp.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Truck. Yeah, thanks for sending this in. If you would like to get your truck featured, just send it to us. However you can send it to us. You can email, text, whatever, podcast at bulkloads.com. Be happy to feature on there. This truck, by the way, would make a perfect model truck.
It would. I'm sure they have one similar out there.
Yeah. So speaking of today's podcast, we're going to bring Adam Knight on. He's the co-owner and creative director of DCP and Firstgear. And I'm sure every one of our audience members knows who this company is. If you go to most trucking companies, even freight brokerages, you see these little models.
Oh, yeah.
In the office. They usually have these in bookcases or whatever. And typically, whatever company you go to, it's usually they have replicas that are similar to theirs.
Yep.
Some actually have their trucks made. But Firstgear, Adam's company, they are the guys that created these.
Yep.
That create these models. And these things are so intricate and so detailed. And we're going to bring Adam on the show today and really talk about the history of the company, how it came to be. His father started the company and where they've grown today. And like, the things that these guys do, how they really like. Adam knows every truck and make and model and trailer because they have to make these replicas. Yeah. So they get to learn about new things that are happening in the technology. He talks about how these trucks get featured, how they go through the process and creating these collection kits. So this one, man, I think it just goes kind of right in line with the Christmas season, man. Hopefully maybe there's one of these maybe expecting under the tree for your little one or for you. So I think this is pretty cool.
Yeah, this one is cool. Adam explains everything that goes into making one of these models, where they're made, how they're designed. I was just shocked at the fact he was saying, like, whenever they're designing a new truck, it could take up to a year to get the design right before even getting to produce one of these. So that was super cool. He talks about cool projects they've done with like AC/DC and just it was all super. I like the business in the learning podcast, but every once in a while we sprinkle one of these in.
Well, there's a lot to learn from.
It's super cool. Just his story and why they started it, how they got started, and complete end to end on how one of these are made. And I think Adam even goes into how you can get one custom made of your truck.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to put that link down in the show notes as well. So we'll unpack a lot of that because there's a lot of little things that he said that I think are super fun and just fun to talk about. So with that said, here's my conversation with Adam Knight of Firstgear Inc. Adam, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So you all are based in Eastern Iowa, if I remember.
Yep, we're out over in Piasta, which is just west of Dubuque, so northeast Iowa area.
Okay, awesome. And I just, by kind of getting to know a little bit about you, one of the co-owners and actually creative designers of the products.
Yeah, yep. So my father actually is the owner of Firstgear, and he formed the company in 1992. And then I ended up coming along and joining the company in 2016 and became part owner 2022, somewhere in there. Just as we started entering the 20s, I made the full decision to say, full commitment, jumped in on this. So yeah. And then I also am a designer or kind of creative director of the company. So I kind of lead us with the collector side of the business. That's where I do a lot. I design and help with that product line. So selling to our dealers and distributors and the collector market of our models.
Nice. Well, I want to talk more about that, but just to give a high level overview, obviously I got these models that are your all's products sitting in front of me. Most of our audience know if they've been to a truck show or farm show, and you can go almost to any trucking company's office and they got these models sitting, on displays on their desk or whatever.
Yeah.
But talk about who Firstgear is, kind of how it started off to where you guys are today.
Yeah. Well, we've kind of changed through the years. Firstgear started off as a promotional products business, specifically in 134 scale models. So they're about twice the size of the models that are on your desk, and uh, but same industry, trucking industry, transportation, same commodity, but bigger models, more seen as more of a premium gift that employers could get custom made and give to their employees or sell in their stores, and things like that. And then there's also the collector side of the business, but that kind of came later as the company was um, primarily focused on promotions for businesses.
Okay.
And yeah, and then so my father, Rich Knight, he started that, and it they kept they became very popular because the detail was very intricate.
Right.
The printing on the models was all done very well, and the paint. They became very popular. They did many models in 34 scale. Eventually, kind of dove into 50th scale, which is more of a construction scale, and then into the models which you have, which are our 64 scale.
Hmm.
And about 5 years ago, we acquired one of our competitors, Diecast Promotions or DCP, and they were very popular with the trucking community in 64 scale. So those models that you have on your desk, they're part of what we call our DCP line or 164 scale line, and they've
Okay.
been they've been very popular, and um, we've seen a lot of growth within the past since we acquired them within the past 5 years in the 64 scale trucking industry.
Two questions with that. So, in for people to know, because you always hear like this is 164 scale, and there's the
Yeah.
the different scales. What does that actually mean? It's 164 scale. What does
So
64 mean?
if you were to take a real truck, and then
Yeah.
scale it down 64 times,
Oh
that would
wow.
be that would be the size that you have in front of you.
Okay.
So that's how
Very
that
cool.
works. Yeah. Yep. And when Rich started out, he wasn't really so focused on the number or what the scale was. He was more he wanted something big and heavy in your hands, and then when they measured it out, that's what the scale turned into. It was 134th. So then they ran with it because they thought it was a great scale to show detail of graphics, and everything's legible and easy to read. But then as we've kind of progressed through the years, I think people like the smaller scales because you can collect more of them. Uh, they're a little bit more affordable compared to the bigger models.
I mean, do you guys produce more of the 64 scale than any other scale? I mean, and
At
that's
the
why I was
moment,
the most.
yeah, at
Yeah.
the moment we do. In the beginning, we didn't. In the beginning, we made more 34 scale, and then as time has progressed, we've gotten we've done just more and more and more of the 64 scale. And right now, that's predominantly what we've been coming out with. We do go even smaller to 87th scale. We have a couple customers where they want more of a smaller model, or even ornaments. We've done Christmas ornaments for different trucking companies, and so we got these tiny little semi trucks you can hang on your
Reminds
tree.
me, what were those called in back in the day? The micro machines.
Oh yeah, micro machines. Those are fun.
So I want to get into the detail on these. And I think that's why what so many people are
Yes.
attracted to. I mean, the different designs and different trucks. Like when you go to a toy show, or especially we go to a lot of trucking shows where there's different vendors selling these. But man, the detail on these trucks. I mean, they're heavy. Most people know, but you can go and just see everything from inside the cab
Yep.
to underneath the hood. But can you talk about like how that's been an important part of the business? Hey guys, we are getting so much interest for our Bulk Freight Conference 2025. We started this 2 years ago. We've had 2 phenomenal conferences. It keeps getting bigger. Our first conference, we had over 200. This last one, over 500. And we have a lot of people that want to show up. We want to make sure that you can get your ticket reserved. It's going to be the 3rd week of April. We hope that you can make it. But go ahead right now, go to bulkfreightconference.com and put your email address in there, and we will notify you when tickets go on sale. That way you will be the first one to be notified before they sell out. It's going to be an amazing show. We have a new venue that's going to be even bigger. We're talking actually having show trucks inside the venue, breakout sessions, and man, just a world of events to get you connected. I was just talking yesterday, had dinner with a lady that was at the conference last year and just talked about the connections that she made and the business that she's doing now by meeting those clients face to face. So we want you to be there, man. Go to bulkfreightconference.com, enter your email address, get signed up. It's going to be phenomenal. We'll see you there. God bless.
Yeah. So it's actually a major component of why our 64 scale models, I think they do so well and are popular, is because you can, like, for example, any of our Peterbilt trucks, like the 379, 389, we even go further back with 359 and 351. But you can take one of those trucks and you can completely customize it just like your real truck or your show truck. We have, when we work with the manufacturers, Peterbilt, Kenworth, Mack Trucks, we spec out the models to be just like their factory offerings. But then with a lot of the 64 scale trucks, like the Peterbilts, for example, we have a lot of aftermarket parts. So, if you're running a Texas bumper, you're running big pipes for stacks, you got different tanks, you got different sleepers. I mean, so that's what's fun about the models, is we offer all of these different additional options and accessories, so that when a company comes to us and they say, hey, can you make my truck? For the most part, we can make exactly your setup. So that's what makes them so unique, is that we not only can we replicate your graphics, your paint scheme, but we also try to get all the component parts lined up too. So it does, or is, a representation of your truck and your company.
I've been in trucking almost 20 years now, and just being in the business dealing with freight, you learn about the industry, you learn about the types of trucks these guys are driving, the different trailer types that they have. But being a diecast company or modeling that, like, you've probably had to really study, because you're just naming off the names of these, but like, I would say you're probably even more knowledgeable than I am on knowing every make and model of trucks and the series and the trailers. Because and we're just on the bulk side. I mean, and you're dealing with everything from drive-in models to refrigerated. I mean, all of them.
And it gets even crazier when you go into vintage models, because we'll go to whoever, no matter who it is, Kenworth, Peterbilt, somebody, and we'll say, hey, we're producing a truck from the 70s, like a W900A or something. And do you have any schematics? Or, I mean, they didn't have computers then, so there's no design data. So a lot of the time we'll have to go out into the field, find a real truck, take all the measurements, figure everything out. And then once you've got all that data, we've got to scale it down and then try to make all the parts work and component parts work. And sometimes you got to cheat a few details or enlarge a few details to make it all work. But yeah, we have a lot of data on all these trucks, and it's our job to replicate it and make sure they're authentic. So it's let's just say, before I started, I knew nothing about trucks, and now I know way more than I should.
I was gonna say, you can probably just drive down the road, see a truck passing, and be like, hey, that's a
it becomes part of the company culture, where people, like, you take a road trip and you're like, oh, we did trucks for them, or oh, I recognize that one, or oh, hey, there's the brand new Freightliner, or whatever the case may be. So
yeah, well, that's going to lead to my next question. Talk about the process of, like, how do you know what to, you talk about the collector's edition, but like when you guys are coming out with trucks, say you go to a truck show or wherever, a toy show where you're going to see these, there's all these different makes and models. How do those come to be? How do you decide that you're going to create a series of these purple trucks with a whatever, gunmetal gray hopper. But like, how does that even come out to where you decide that you're going to create a series or a bunch of those replicas?
Well, a lot of it's based off of what's new. I think a lot of this business is constantly thriving off what's new. So if PACCAR is coming out with a new truck or Mack Trucks is coming out with a new truck, we've established those relationships for a very long time, that those companies are coming to us, Freightliner, Volvo, all of them. They're coming to us and they're saying, "Hey, we're coming out with a brand new truck." And sometimes we know that information before the public does. So, for example, like Freightliner just announced their new Gen 5. And here at Firstgear, we've been working on the new Gen 5 for the past year. So, that's kind of part of it. So then once that comes out, the manufacturers may have specific paint colors that we can reference, and we'll use that information. But a lot of the time with some of the new trucks that we're doing, or for like what I do when I make the collector models, we're going to truck shows. We're seeing what people are doing in that part of the industry. We're seeing what paint schemes are really popular, what colors people are running, and we'll get inspiration from there, and then we'll kind of put together our own designs and then release them and pre-sell them to the market and see how well they do and see how it's received. One thing that we've been doing a lot is actually working with owner operators. I created, I think it's been about 4 years ago. I created a collectible series called Big Rigs, and we work hand in hand with an owner operator, and we make their truck. So it's really fun. We market the back of the packaging about the owner operator and their company, and then we show off their truck. It's usually a working show truck, so it's got
Yeah.
all kinds of fun designs and parts and colors, and so those have been a lot of fun to do. So yeah, we try to find inspiration from all aspects of the trucking industry, whether it's at a trucking show, guys who love to customize and pimp out their trucks, or companies and fleets and what they're doing.
So a lot of times if you see, and I think they've had some custom made, but Tri-State Commodities, Greeley,
Yes.
Colorado, they're a client of ours. We've had on our podcast, we've done some videos. Again, a lot of people just know them just for their iconic orange color.
Yep.
But I know we actually have one of their models somewhere around here. But talk about that. Is that something that was custom made for them, and then you also sell them, or how does that work as far as when you see some of those? Because I've been to toy shows, you'll see a certain name on the truck, like it's an actual company.
Yep. Yeah, it can go both ways. A lot of the times, companies come to us and they want us to make their truck, and then they use them as corporate gifts or rewards or whatever they'd like to do with them. And so we just need their information and their decoration and their branding, and we'll put together artwork and send it back to them for permission. And a lot of times that's just done direct. We do hundreds of direct programs where the public doesn't get to see those trucks. They're made just for those companies. And then sometimes we will ask the company, like if like Tri-State Commodities, if they've got a really cool truck and we think the collector market would really love this truck because it's the design, the paint scheme, whatever it is, we'll ask them for permission. And then if they give us their permission, then we can sell them to our dealer base.
Very cool.
So that's how you'll see them at shows and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and maybe this is just me since I'm in the bulk industry, but a lot of times when I'm looking at these toy trucks, and I think we've bought, I sent some pictures to your company. I think we have probably 60 or 70 of them. But when I'm at trade shows, it seems like you see a lot more of the specialty type trailers. And again, we're probably at more truck shows and farm shows where we see more of the hopper bulk type trailers. But I guess, can you give us a breakdown? What's like the most made or sold 64 scale truck? If you could, I mean, if you could, or if you could just name like the top 3
we've
or
got
4 that
yes.
always that get moved, that get sold a lot of.
I would say, well, we've got. I guess it just depends on what industry we're going with. We sell a ton of utility dry vans. We've got Wilson grain trailers; those are
Yep.
super popular. Then we've also got Wilson livestock trailers;
Yep.
those are very popular. So it kind of just depends on the industry that we're serving at the time. But those three those three are very popular, I would say. Yeah. And then and then we have just a variety of other trailers. The cool thing about the scale models is that we service everybody. So we've got trailers, um, all makes and models, and almost every industry that you'd want or that is out there. Yeah.
And this is just from my own curiosity. So when you're working with Peterbilt or Kenworth or one of these, obviously, like, I mean, you're putting their trademark names on that. You guys just
Yep.
have to get permission to use their replicas, or do they get a royalty of every
Yep.
toy that gets sold, or how does that work?
Yep. So we have to have a license agreement. So with all of these companies, no matter who it is, I mean, all of them, whether it's the truck manufacturer, the trailer manufacturer, if we were to work with a entertainment property or something that's going to be on the side of a trailer, anybody, we have a license agreement in place. So yes, we then owe royalties to whoever the cab manufacturer is or in the trailer manufacturer.
Okay. And then
Yep.
I would assume, I mean, you guys are based up in Iowa. Are most of these made overseas, I assume, or are they
Yep.
all assembled in Iowa, or?
Yep. So we do all of the design work, sales, and all of that aspect here at our headquarters in Piasta. And then, yes, all of the manufacturing and assembly is done. We have several factories in China, and then we also have one in Indonesia, and that's where everything gets produced, and then they ship back here overseas. But that entire process, when you're going from design all the way to shipping, if you're working on a model that we have already produced, I mean that can take about 7 months for us to go through that entire process. So if
Wow.
if if anybody who's listening would like trucks made, it's best to start talking to us now because we're already looking at spring of next year in order to deliver trucks.
I want to get to that because I do want people that are interested to find out how. I guess the other thing too, when I think about making these models, and I could be wrong, but it's one thing if you get something 3D printed and this model,
Yes,
but like these things are so detailed. A lot of this has to be probably hand. I mean, it
it
has to be
is.
hand assembled. It can't be
Yes,
just these
yes.
tarps.
And I feel like that's something you almost someday I want to make a behind the scenes video
Yeah.
because it's such a process. I bet 200 to 300 people work on these trucks, and
Wow.
it's a lot. Everything is hand assembled, or there is like a mass to do like the base coats of the paint. All of that is mass produced and done. But then if there's any intricate details, those get hand sprayed on. So somebody is picking up that part, hand spraying that detail, moving on to the next one, hand spraying that detail, and then they are hand assembled. There's parts that get glued on, there's parts that get screwed in, and there's an assembly line, and everybody works through their part, doing their process, and then you have the overall product by the end of that process. But it is there's a lot of checks and balances throughout that entire process, making sure all the details are correct, the painting's correct. A lot of the graphics that you see on the sides of the cab, they may be what we call tampo printed, where a machine comes down and prints right directly on the metal, and then you put in another piece and you print right on top. We've also moved into like digital UV print, where you've got like a digital printer printing across the materials. Like on our trailer, sometimes we do that. Or you have a hand assembled, it's a water slide decal. So it's a decal, and you get it wet in water. And we do this a lot here in Piasta too. So if somebody only wants to run a small amount of trucks, we'll take like a white truck we've got in stock, and we'll do it all here in house in Iowa.
Hmm.
But that's only on the small runs. If anything's mass produced, then we do it overseas. But the water slide decals are pretty cool because you get them wet, and the decal kind of slides away from the paper, and then you apply it down onto the truck like maybe it's a trailer side, and then you just kind of squeegee out the water, and it dries on there like it's printed, like it's not going to come off. It's pretty cool stuff. So if that's a method, then those have to be hand applied. So sometimes the ladies in our warehouse, they do a lot of that work, and a truck could have 5 different water slide decals that got to go on, and those all get hand placed on there. So it's a process, and they are hand assembled, and there is a lot of hand work that goes into making them. It's really impressive, and that's why they are a little bit more expensive
I
than
was just going to say that. Yeah.
something you're going to see at at your Targets and Walmarts and things like that. So, and that's why they're collectible and treasured so much.
Yeah, I was going to say this isn't just a toy you buy your little 3-year-old to drive around.
No.
You can if you really want, but like this isn't one that they're
a little
running
more
around on the living room floor. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm glad you said it, because again, they're a little more expensive, but you got to look at the detail and quality to appreciate just how intricate they are. I want to talk about, for people that are interested in maybe having their truck made.
Yep.
But I want you to speak for, maybe there's just an owner operator that he has got, like, and we got one up on the wall here, but just, I mean, a really cool show truck that would be good. I mean, other people would probably buy.
Yeah.
Talk about that. And then also talk about for maybe a large fleet that they want to create a couple hundred or whatever it is to mass produce, how that process works.
Yeah. So it just depends on how many you want. If you are a big fleet company and you've got maybe several hundred employees and you'd like to give them out as gifts, our minimums start. It depends. Our minimum starts at 504 units, but if we have something in the lineup that's already running and it's the same truck that you're looking for, you can gang in on another customer's order for half the amount. So we can get you down to 252 units instead of the 504. So you don't have to do that full commitment. And then if you are an owner operator and you're like, well, I don't need 250 trucks. And you're like, I would just, I just want a few, or, a couple cases. Then you can work with us and we'll work with you. So as long as you're willing to give us permission to sell your truck to the collector market, we'll create trucks for you. Usually, I offer free trucks in exchange to use your marks, and then if you want any additional trucks, we'll give you, a special price so that you can get additional ones if you want for your own shop or your own needs, and then we'll go and produce that truck for the collector market. So that's how a lot of the show truck guys have gotten their trucks made. Or even small companies who maybe can't do the larger 200 to 500 piece run will do that. And then if you, or like I was mentioning before, we got the decal programs. So if you've just got like a white fleet truck, you only need like 50 trucks. You don't need 200. We can do that in house, and we'll do that for you too.
And so you guys deal directly with vendors, but then also obviously sell to resellers or retailers that go into the market.
Yep.
Okay. And I guess just my question along that, because you go to some of these booths, and again, I was at the farm show out in Louisville, Kentucky last year.
Oh yeah.
And there was, at least 5 or 6 different vendors selling, these semi trucks.
Yes.
And I mean, they all had different ones, because you had to kind of you had to kind of keep eyeing each one, and they were all about the same price. But I was looking like, well, I like this one over here that this booth has, and this one over here. But I didn't know how that works, as far as, do they come in and just give you a list of, hey, we want this many hoppers, this many livestock trailers, this many walking floors, belt trailers, all your ag commodity trailers?
We run our own product line that we release new trucks on every month. We'll release about, in 64 scale, we'll release about 4 to 6 new trucks every month, and
Oh, wow.
our dealers will go and sell those for us, or you can also buy them direct if you want from our website. But that's, so there's constantly new product coming out. And then also, if you are one of our distributors, a lot of them, quite a few of them actually, they'll come to us and design their own models for their business. So they may come to us and say, well, I really want a Pete 389 and I want to do, you know, 5 different colors, and I want them with these trailers, and I want to sell them for my business. Those guys will
Okay.
do that too. So sometimes if you are at one of these toy shows and you're like, well, this guy had all these different colored trucks, and I didn't see them over here. It could be because he had them custom produced with us. And otherwise, all of our dealers should be carrying similar trucks, because they're all the ones that myself and my team work on for the collector market.
Very cool. Well, I got one last question, and this is maybe a little bit loaded one, but man, in your years doing this, are there any of these that you've done that really stand out that come first
Oh,
to mind?
sure.
And man, maybe that you can just talk about, maybe actually if they were true companies that you've done
Yeah.
that put in production, I'd love to hear those.
Yeah. Oh, the, we've done a lot of trucks, and we've done every we've done almost, like, it's fun going on a road trip, because when you're driving down the highway and you're like, oh, we worked with them, or we did that truck, or I recognize that trailer graphic, or like Quest Trucks was always running these cool trailer graphics on the sides of their trucks. Um, or I mean, just working with some of the top fleet companies in the US is pretty cool, and seeing what they're doing, or being a part of the, what I love most about it is I really like being a part of the new truck releases. Like, if, like when Mack trucks came out with the Anthem, we were behind that launch. So we got to know way in advance when that truck was coming out. And then when they launched the Anthem on day one, we launched replicas to go with it on day one. So doing product launches like that have been super exciting to be a part of in the industry. Um, from the collector side of it, I've been trying to do a lot of new ideas and some fun ideas. So last year we brought out the Maximum Overdrive truck from the movie, the 1986 truck movie Maximum Overdrive by Stephen King. So
Yeah.
like that was something that's kind of like, it's way out there, but it's fun. And I think a lot of truck enthusiasts or people who've grown up with those the truck movies from the 70s and 80s, that kind of stuff has been fun. So we've been trying to bring a lot more of that kind of culture to the collector market, and we're always working on new ideas, or trying to work with different entertainment properties on bringing those kinds of collectibles about. Uh, so yeah, anything like that's been super fun. Um, I've had a little fun with working on some creative projects. We worked with ACDC on releasing a few different diecast collectibles,
Oh,
and
neat.
we might be working with some future rock bands from the 80s on some fun collectibles and things. But uh, those kinds of projects are really fun. But also some of these owner operators, when you go to these truck shows and you see the level of detail they are putting into these trucks, the accessories, the paint jobs, the chrome finishing everywhere, like that stuff's cool. And then when you go to the shows and you're like, man, how would we make that work in the collectible form, or what would we have to do, or how much money do we have to invest in creating new parts to make this look like this truck? And so that stuff's exciting too. And then going into the future, making new models and making new trucks and making new parts. So we're constantly trying to look at that, at the industry, seeing what's cool out there, what's popular, and then if it makes sense to bring it to the trucking industry in a collectible format.
Yeah, I have to say, I've been to a lot of these truck shows now over the years, but I can always, one that stands out, and I've told this story several times, but there was a guy, he had this custom truck, and he was a bulk hauler, so that's why I went up and talked to him. I think he had an end dump, but from a farm in Iowa, but he had a paint scheme on there. And when I went to talk to him, he said it was Lamborghini orange.
Yo, okay.
He said
Yeah.
1 gallon of this paint, I'm gonna have this wrong, but like 1 gallon's like $2,000.
Oh, wow.
And had this
Yeah.
truck detailed out. But I'm just like, man, the amount of, the pride and the time and
Yeah.
effort, the resources these guys put into it. It's just so cool to see what they can do.
And that's something, I don't think I really talked about it, but that's something special that we do here at Firstgear is we match your paint, we match your colors. And so if you have a paint swatch of your truck, or you can tell us the color codes or the paint codes, we will match that as best as we can to make sure that your truck colors are authentic. And we work with our clients to go back and forth, like on making sure, like, or sending paint samples and comparing them, sending photos, making sure everything is accurate and to what you specified.
Yeah. Well, man, I have thoroughly enjoyed this podcast, and it's not our typical BulkLoads. We're usually talking operations and business.
Sure.
But this is cool that everybody so many people I know have these models and love these models. And that's why I wanted to bring you on. And I love that in the digital tech age that we're at, these things are still so iconic. You still see the old replicas made. And man, there's just something nostalgic about that. And I think that's why, quite frankly, I love what you guys are doing.
Thank you. Yeah. And I do think, anymore, I feel like the physical products, there's just something about it when you hold it in your hands and you can see it. I mean, it's even special for us at Firstgear when you've spent months designing something. Sometimes when we make a new model, it could take an entire year, if not longer, to make one of these. And when you finally get it in and you see all your hard work and you're like, man, that looks really nice. Like I worked on that, like I made it. And then when you see other people get even more enjoyment out of it, then, it's such a rewarding feeling. And we're very happy and privileged to work with all of these OEMs and be a part of the trucking industry in this unique way.
Yeah, rightfully said. And I think too, like equally the pride that owner operator has when a replica of his truck has been made, that's sitting on the shelves of hundreds, if not thousands of homes and offices is pretty cool. So Adam, hey man, I thank you so much for coming on the BulkLoads podcast. We love what you're doing and God bless you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Tyler, I could like talk about everything Adam said because I think it's just so cool when it comes to like these toy models, but I can't believe it takes like over 150 people, did he say, on the assembly line from start to finish? And you got to think when these models, like people know this, like these things are so detailed. Yeah. Like the little tires, it's got the Bridgestone on it. I mean, even if you lift up the hood, and they really replicate these things true to the actual. Yeah.
And that's what we were just talking about is these are, scale models, 1/64.
Which means this is 1/64 the size of a real semi.
Yeah. And so, they're super cool how they can get this small, but still have this much detail.
Yeah. Even inside the cab, the whole thing. And I love like these customized ones that they've done and how they go through that process. And he said a couple of things. Yeah. 4 to 6 new trucks that they do every month that they kind of roll out. So yeah, I love seeing these, like, it doesn't matter what age. I could, like in my 40s when we still go to these truck shows and just looking at all these little creations and makes and models and how they have them all there. And
well, if you've ever been in our office before in our conference room, you would think that it's a Firstgear store because we have all the walls stacked up with all these little trucks just because they're super cool. And we have all the bulk trailers here. But yeah, man, they're just fascinating.
It's a dream of mine because I think is it 500 minimum order?
Yep.
To have it done. It's a dream or goal of mine. One day we will do an order, like we'll do one every year. Like we'll feature one truck, kind of like we do the, calendars and truck features. Yeah. But we'll pick one every year and we'll run a line on it. And then every year do another one and give them out to those members just as a thank you. Yeah. Like, these are just cool. They're timeless collectible items.
Yeah. And you never Like they're always going to be on the shelf on display at all times.
And there's so many different, and just like the trucks, when we see them out on the road, there's just so many different combos, colors. I like that was another thing too, like how they can actually match the paint scheme. Any paint scheme out there, they can match on these little models.
Yeah, that's crazy. And sometimes they even like have to go out into the field and get measurements to make sure that they are, precise with everything.
Yeah, so cool. Well, Adam, man, thanks for taking your time and coming on the show. Adam, we've asked, and we're hoping that they will come to our Bulk Freight Conference, which is coming up April 16th through the 18th. The link is down below. We're getting closer. It is going to be fun. Get your tickets now before they get sold out. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we have everything from panels, breakout sessions, Q&As. There's going to be content for everyone, owner-operators, carriers, shippers, brokers, merchandisers. If you are in the bulk freight world, you definitely need to be here. There's going to be a lot of learning opportunities, but it's just going to be a fun time. And tickets are on sale right now, $250 a piece right now. I promise it will be worth your while. You're going to get so much more than that ticket price. You're going to see, just crazy things to grow your business.
Speaking of models, did you order that go-kart semi for the conference?
I did not. I need to.
What size is that? It's like a 1.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe we can. Maybe that's in our future.
But what is it, like a 1/4 scale or 1?
Yeah.
We found this go-kart one we're trying to get ordered for the conference. It's a little pricey. Maybe we can pull it off in time. But we got to get a bulk trailer. We're trying to find a bulk trailer for that. So Bulk Freight Conference, April 16th through the 18th. Link is below. Get your tickets. Plan to be there. Bring the family. Going to be an awesome event.
Yeah. Awesome.
So cool. Anything else?
On that, we are going to be at the Nebraska Ag Expo that's coming up shortly, December I believe 9th through the 12th. We will be there. BulkLoads will have a booth number 628. I believe it's in the Freight Star Pavilion area. But you can look us up. If you go to the NebraskaAgExpo.com, you can see exactly where we're at. We want to meet you. We want you to swing by and we want to chat with you. We are actually going to have Jason Hamas. He's bringing up one of their show trucks to bring in our booth. So you can see that. If we can get Garrett to throw a picture of the truck that will be in our booth, it's a beautiful truck. I'm excited for it, but it's going to be a really good time. We're right next to the Cornhusker guys, and the Tempty booth is just right across from us. So we're going to see a lot of guys. It's going to be a good time. Yeah. So if you're going to be up in the area, make sure and come by the BulkLoads booth. I'm sure you guys will have plenty of gear as well to give out. A lot of Carhartt stuff. Yeah. So want to be there. So cool. Well, that's it for this podcast, man. We thank you for listening. A couple things. We do have a prayer line, prayer@bulkloads.com. You'll see the link down below. If you have a prayer request, especially this time of year, we would love to pray for that. Any prayer out there, big or small, business related, personal level, the prayers that we receive, we do keep them in house. We don't share them or put them on social media anywhere else. Those can come in, and we have a group of people in our office that pray over them. We consider that an honor. So make sure any prayer requests, send them to us. And with that said, as we do every episode, I will close us out. Awesome. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time of the year, for you are the reason of the season, Lord. And we just hope that we take the time to reflect and slow down, Lord, that we take time to spend with family members, and more than anything, lift you up and thank you for what you have done, being born on this earth. Lord, we just thank you for this industry. Lord, we raise up the people in this industry, those working professionals out there, Lord, that they are safe and their doings. Lord, and we just hope and pray that we close out this year in a bang, Lord. We know that there's more optimism. The market's up. Lord, we hope to see that in our industry as well. Lord, we pray that we can be a light for those out there. Your heavenly and precious name. Amen. Amen. Thank you, as always, for listening to the BulkLoads podcast. If you haven't yet, hit the little subscribe button in the left-hand corner. That way you don't ever miss an episode. We have podcasts releasing every week, plus other videos, and we want you to see those and be a part of it. So thank you, as always, and God bless.